What is up, Algebra 1? Welcome to your first of many ed puzzles that you will be completing the next couple of weeks. Take out your packet and let's start example 1. Hattie sells hot cocoa at a farmer's market. She believes that people tend to buy more hot cocoa as the weather gets colder. The table shows the data for the average daily air temperature and corresponding number of cups of hot cocoa sold. Inside of our hot mug, we have all of our temperatures and all of our cups sold. So the first thing you want to remember is if we take a look, on the left side we have our X values and on the right side we have our Y values. So go ahead and pause the video and type all of these into Desmos. Create a table and enter all of your points so it looks something like this. Alright, you've typed in all of your points, and one thing you might notice is I don't see my scatter plot. So what I need to do is zoom out until I see all of my scatter points. So here are my points. My x-axis represents the temperature, and my y-axis represents how many cups are sold. So the first question asks me, what do you notice about the number of cups of hot cocoa as the air temperature increases? So as our air temperature is getting hotter and hotter and hotter, we see that these scatter points start to go down, which means as the temperature gets hotter, the number of hot cocos we sell is going to decrease. So that is the answer to A. So let's write that as a sentence. As the temp increases, the number of cocoa decreases. Okay, that is your answer to A. As we sell more, as the temperature goes up, the number of cups we sell go down. All right, so we've made our scatter plot, and now we're ready to answer some questions. So, what type of correlation does the data have? So when I look at my scatter plot, I see that my points are going down. So I know that it is a negative correlation because my points go down. If I want to figure out if it's strong or weak, I need my cheat code. Y1 squiggly mx1 plus b. When I type that in, I see my m, I see my b, but what I'm looking for is the correlation, which is my r value. Since my r value is negative 0.97, which is really close to negative 1, this is a strong positive or strong negative correlation. So I'm going to write down this is strong negative. Because my R value was negative 0.97. Part C. Using Desmos and the cheat code to find the line of best fit. To find the line of best fit, I need to know what M is, and I need to know what B is, so I can write the equation of my line in the form y equals mx plus b. So if I take a look at what I found in Desmos, I can see that my m value is about negative 4.5, and my b is 436. Okay, we can do some rounding. Negative 4.5 and 436. We're going to write that down. There's my m and there's my b. So if I wanted to write the equation of the line of best fit, the line that perfectly or as close as perfectly can fit all my scatter points is y equals my m negative 4.5x plus my b value, which was 436. This is the equation of my line of best fit. Okay, so Desmos already has our line of best fit in it, so we are going to answer some questions. My first question is, if it's 80 degrees out, and since 80 degrees is an x value, I'm going to type in x equals 80. I'm going to see where my two lines cross, and that's going to estimate about how many cups of cocoa we could predict would be sold. So at 80 degrees, there would be about 74 cups sold. So I'm going to write down 74 cups. And finally, predict the number of cups of hot cocoa that would sell on a day with an average air temp of 20 degrees. So instead of x equals 80, x equals 20. I'm going to see where my lines cross. On a day that's 20 degrees out, we would expect to sell somewhere around 346 cups. 346 cups. Okay, and there is our first example. Let's go ahead and try another one. Okay, number 2. In an attempt to encourage healthy sleeping habits, a school surveys students to determine if there is a relationship between the average number of hours they sleep per day and their grade point average. The data from the survey are shown. So here is our data from the survey right here. So remember, on the top is our x value, and on the bottom is our y value. So these are all of our x, and these are all of our y values. Okay, so first thing you need to do is pause the video and type in all of these points. After typing in all of the points, you should see something that looks something like this. Here are all of my points. My x values are how long I've slept. My y values are my students' GPAs. So I can see that as we increase the number of hours we sleep, from 0 to 2 to 4 to 6 to 8 to 10 hours, I can see that the GPA of my students is slowly rising. So what do I notice? I notice that as our sleep increases, so do the students' GPAs. Okay, so let's write that. As the sleep increases, student GPA increases. Okay, so based on our scatter plot, we're trying to figure out now what type of correlation is this. And since my points are going slowly rising upwards, we know that this is a positive correlation. Now to see if it's strong or weak, I need my cheat code. y1 squiggly mx1 plus b. Okay, again, I have my m value, I have my b value, but I'm looking for my r. My r is 0.9117. So we would call this strong positive. Strong positive. And that's because my R value was 0.91. Okay, strong positive correlation. So let's find the line of best fit. So we've already done that by putting in our cheat code. So when we put in our cheat code, we have our M value and our B value. We're going to use those to write the equation of our line. Our M is about 0.3, and our B is 0.9 if we round it. So M is 0.3 and B is 0.9 rounding up. So the equation of my line of best fit is y equals 0.3x plus 0.9. Okay, so that is the equation of my line of best fit. This is the most important part of our problem, is finding this line of best fit. So we have two things to do. We need to make a prediction for what a student's grade point average might be if they sleep 6.7 hours. So hours is an x value. So I'm going to have to type in x equals 6.75 into Desmos. For E, it's asking me how many hours do I need to sleep, and they're telling me the GPA. So that's a y value. We'll have to type in y equals 4.0. So, if we sleep 6.75 hours, x equals 6.75 hours. I'm going to look at where my lines cross. If I sleep 6.75 hours, then I could expect to get about a 3.06 GPA. A 3.06 GPA. E is now the opposite. They gave us our GPA, which is a y value. So I'm going to type in y equals 4.0. If you want to get a 4.0 GPA, you would need to get about 9.67 hours of sleep. 9.67 hours of sleep. Okay, so there are our first two problems of creating a scatter plot. And after creating our scatter plot, we found our line of best fit and answered a couple questions. Okay, we have two more problems to do. I'm going to do one with you, and you're going to do one on your own. Okay, so example 4, we're going to do together. So example 4 is a scatter plot of laptops. Okay, so we have two things we're looking at. The first thing is the price. The y-axis is the price of our computer, from $0 all the way up to $1,600. Our x-axis, our x values, is our hard drive capacity in gigabytes. So 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 gigabytes. And inside we have a bunch of points that we're going to answer some questions about. So first we need to find our line of best fit. So what we are going to do is first catch the bees. What I mean by that is we're going to draw an oval around all of my scatter points like so. So I'm catching all my little bumblebees if I imagine all my points are bumblebees. Now I'm going to draw a point on either end of my oval. And I'm going to take a straight edge and I'm going to draw a line across as well as I can from point to point. Just like so. Now that we have our estimated line of best fit, this green line, we need to figure out what is the equation of this line. And we're going to use Desmos to help. Now to use Desmos, we need two pretty points. So we're going to do our best to estimate two pretty points that are on this line. So I think this is pretty close to a pretty point. And if I keep following along, I want one way on this end. I see a pretty point right here. So one of my pretty points is about 3,400. And another one of my points that I estimate is 1,100. So these are my 2 points I'm going to use in Desmos in order to estimate my line of best fit. So I am going to go to Desmos. I'm going to add a table. And I'm going to put in my 2 points, 3,400 and 1,100. Okay, and I'm going to type in my cheat code. Y1 squiggly mx1 plus b. So here's my line of best fit. I can see that my m value is 100 and my b value is 100. So now I can write the equation of my line. M is 100 and B is 100. So the equation of my line would be y equals 100x plus 100 is my line of best fit. And we have two follow-up questions. Predict the hard drive capacity of a Chromebook that costs $300. So they gave us our price. That's a y value. So we're going to type in y equals 300 and see where my lines intersect. Y equals 300. Okay, I'm going to zoom out and I'm going to find where my points cross. If I buy a $300 computer, it should have 2 gigabytes of capacity. Okay, 2 gigabytes. C says predict how much it would cost to purchase a computer that has 3 gigabytes. Gigabytes is our x value, so we're going to type in x equals 3. Okay, so I'm going to go to Desmos, and I'm going to type in x equals 3. And I'm going to see where my line crosses. A computer with 3 gigabytes should cost somewhere around $400. $400. Okay, so there's an example of how you use a scatter plot to find your line of best fit and answer some follow-up questions. Remember to catch your B's, put a point on both ends, and connect them with a line. Pick 2 pretty points. Okay, your goal is to do example 5. Example 5 is about smoothies, which our Y value is calories, and our X value is sugar. So find your line of best fit and answer your 2 follow-up questions. Goodbye, Algebra 1.